Hey guys, John Henry here. Looking at managing this runner position on the EMD. We have a correlation type trade to the upside with a long position at 89.4. I'm looking for continuation for the buyers to meet up with its index counterparts. If we look at the S&P, we can see that they are very aggressive in pushing into a new high. They also tested their prior high of day. If we look at the Dow, they're also very aggressive, pushing up past the prior high of day and looking for a new high as well. The NASDAQ lagging a little bit behind, bar 17 showing that buyers may want to give it a shot. So basically on the EMD, I'm looking for it to continue. What I want to see is the buyers to push up towards the prior high of day, and given the failures on all of the other markets, all of the other problems that they had at the prior high of day, I'm going to be aggressively trailing it. I want to see it hit it and slam through it quickly. Now the overall objective is at 95, but chances are we might not make it that far up. So because of that, we're going to look at a possible aggressive trail as well once we start getting up there. Now the aggressive trail, if you're not familiar with that, there is a full tutorial on it, so make sure to load that up in the price action course if you haven't seen that yet or if you're not familiar with that yet. But I'm not going to start locking it in at the 50 because I want to get it up to the prior high of day. I want to see it pop through this. So we'll give them a little bit of time here, and we may have to pause it a couple times before we go around and come back and keep an eye on things. NASDAQ still having a little bit of trouble here. The Dow trying to get that new high of day. The S&P trying to get that new high of day as well. So it's just a waiting game now. We have to give it a little time and see what they want to do. So we'll be back in a little bit and see if we can get that push up to a new high. All right, starting to see that breakout movement to the upside. This is what we want to see. We want to see them hit and go fast. Now, the overall momentum still not done. We're looking for the S&P, which is making a new high, the Dow, which is making a new high, the NASDAQ has yet to, and the EMD is still working on it, right? Now, the aggressive trail normally, once we hit the 50% area, we're looking to go to about 25%, but again, I'm more looking for the aggressive trail once we hit the prior high of day. I want to see them hit the prior highs and push. Now, the 1-to-1 objective off of that big bull candle bar 7 is up at 95, which is why the target's there, just in case it hits the high and goes bam, slams right into it. We want to make sure to just take a profit target there. I don't think we're going to get to it, which is why I'm using the aggressive trailing mentality. But still, that's kind of what we're looking for at the moment. I want to see them push up. I want to see them hit the prior high of day and possibly break out through the prior high of day, just like all of its counterpart markets have. Now, the Dow and the S&P are both at new highs. The NASDAQ still lagging behind a little bit, and the EMD still lagging behind a little bit. So we got to give them a little bit of time, but we are seeing good continuation to the upside, and all we need to do is put on our waiting hats and wait for the market to bounce. So still waiting. Overall looks pretty good. A lot of traders will potentially move their stops up to the aggressive trail at 90.7. I'm not a huge fan of that. Again, for the reasons we just talked about, I'm waiting for them to hit the prior highs. So let's see if we can get that push here, and then we'll start looking to aggressive trail on the way up. We've got our stop in hand, and chances are, if this hits, it's going to be fast. There are going to be a lot of stops. There's the prior high of day. We need a little bit more. We hit the prior high of day. Now we need to break through it. We're trying. A little bit more. Come on, EMD, push it. A little bit more. So because we did achieve the objective that we were looking for, I'm not willing to keep any more risk on the table. I want to see them pop. Now looking at some of the other markets, the NASDAQ has yet to catch up. The Dow still pushing to a new high. The S&P pushing to a new high still. The EMD is the only one that's lagging behind here. So that's the one that we're waiting for. The NASDAQ still a little ways away. See if we can get that push through. Stop is up in a profitable position. We're not going to take a loss on it, but we need to see them give it a little more oomph through the prior high of day. Again, the main reason behind that is the prior high of day. This is where we saw all of that trouble from before. The S&P and the Dow got stuck at the prior high of day. The NASDAQ couldn't quite reach the prior highs, and now the EMD seeing a little bit of a struggle there as well. So just kind of keeping an eye on it and looking for the breakout up. If we can get good continued breakout movement to the upside, then we'll be looking to aggressively trail on up with the move. But we'll have to give it a little bit of time still, it looks like. All right, good continuation from the EMD here, pushing new highs again. We got 1 minute left on this bar, so we want to see them hit it relatively well. I want a good pop here from the EMD. We're still waiting for it, but we are getting that breakout momentum to the upside. It's following along with its brothers, so the upside still looks really good, and we may be able to get that target at 95, depending on how strong this breakout wants to be. Everything is catching a nice rally up. NASDAQ is starting to catch up. The Dow and the S&P are both pushing new highs of the day, and now we just hit that objective there. So now we're starting to look at aggressive trails, right? The aggressive trail on up, I'm not willing to accept anything less than 93, and we're looking for a little continuation. Let everyone in the chat room know that we're in this one and trailing. Now, once we hit 94.4, the stop is going to move up to 93.9, and then we'll see if we can hit that final objective. Worst case, it takes us out at 93 for a really nice run. Otherwise, you know, we'll see if we can hang on to it for a little bit more. Everything is still looking really strong. Huge bull candle to the upside, closing on its highs. The NASDAQ not quite at a new high. The S&P and the Dow still at a new high and pushing. Just need a little bit more. Now, given this big bull breakout on bar 19, a lot of traders who may be buyers may choose to take profit on that kind of candle as well. So I don't necessarily want to see it start pulling back on itself. We're pushing up. We need one more tick, and then we'll trail in to 93.9. One more tick. There we go. 93.9 now. There we go. One tick away, and we're out of the target. Beautiful move up, and that's the aggressive trail that we're looking for out at the target. That's the kind of trail that we're looking for to the upside, and a beautiful move up to basically just catch most of this run higher. Now, that's a good example of a correlation trade where sometimes if you get in a little bit early, you may have to sit through a little bit of pain before you get it going, but it caught right up with its counterparts. The NASDAQ pushing near a new high as well. Everything worked out beautifully. So that's going to do it for this one. Hopefully it was a good learning experience. You can kind of see what I'm looking for in these types of correlation trades. And until the next one, we'll see you then.